Hey guys, this is Hard Time Strongmen Podcast, training up a better class of man. And today we're joined by a special guest, KJ and Mahi from Blackbeard Firestarter. Guys, thanks for coming on the show. Excited to have you here. How are y'all doing?
Oh, we're doing great. Thanks for having us, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. You guys are Blackbeard Firestarter, and y'all make some kind of dark monstrosity. But first, what's your guys' story? Who are you guys? Where you guys come from? How in the world did you get here?
Yeah, how'd you get this started?
It's do you want to take on that?
Yeah, sure. It's been an awesome road. So we're brothers. We've been great friends from the start and always on to just everything together. And so coming out with the Blackbeard Firestarter has been a fun experience, to say the least, a trying experience, and an experience that is just incomparable. You know, you're going through hard times, you're overcoming challenges together, you're getting these things done while also building a life for you and your family and creating a product that may or may not be magic. And so all of those things come together just make it all worth it.
Yeah. Man, starting a business, running a business is its own kind of monster. So I guess why did you guys start Blackbeard Fire? What did where did you guys see what was lacking? What do you guys want that wasn't there yet before? Because and honestly, since we've been aware of your guys' product, like 3 years now, I've never seen anybody come up with anything like what you guys have. And that's for such an overinflated market. That's kind of saying something.
Yeah, so there's so much that happened to get us where we are today. One of the things is so we're here in Utah. We're based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Our mother's from Idaho, father's from Hawaii, and so basically we got to thinking. We love being outdoors and stuff. We love doing all that stuff. We love hiking, hunting, fishing, just everything. Unfortunately, since the business kind of took off, we haven't really been able to do much of that. But nevertheless, we still love it. So the main thing was, because when you're in different parts of the country, you start fires different ways because, there's a couple factors. There's elevation, there's humidity, there's natural products. Sometimes here in Utah, here in the desert, depending on where you go, there's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot to work with. So we were just thinking, what is something that we can create that's going to work no matter what? Doesn't matter if we're in super high humidity at sea level in Hawaii or if we're in, very high elevation in Colorado. It's going to work regardless. And so that's kind of where we got Blackbeard Firestarter. So the other part of it too is we've always been pyros. We love playing with fireworks. This guy got his eyebrows and his eyelashes all singed off, making like a potato gun one time.
I saw that. Good push.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically, whenever we used to start fires, it was always paper plates or just newspapers, stuff like that. Now that stuff is great, but there's a couple problems with it. If it gets wet at all, it turns into a big soggy mess and it's useless. Now the other problem with it is it'll light up great, but it'll go out just as quick as it lit up. So if you're not ready and prepared to get that fire going, you're gonna go through a lot of newspaper, toilet paper, dryer lint, what have you, just to get that fire going. So we wanted something that has a nice, steady, slow, consistent burn, and will also work. Doesn't matter if it's raining, snowing, it's gonna work regardless. So that's kind of what brought us here today. So Six, you mentioned that you had a product from years ago. So we started off with the Blackbeard Firestarter, and then from there it's just kind of evolved, and we've kind of added things here and there. And most recently our fire plugs, which have been really nice. But, yeah.
Which are awesome because I was playing with one of those before you guys got in here, and I literally just tore it apart a little bit and just lit it up, and holy crap, yeah, the thing is filled with magic because it just instantly went up, man.
Yeah, people always, back in the day, like when we first started, people always ask us, man, what is this stuff? And we always tell them we mix it with rum and pirate curses.
Yes.
That was our secret trick.
Well, I remember the
So,
early videos of you guys lying, like floating on water and just it
yep,
floating around on fire.
yep,
Ridiculous. Actually,
yep.
so I took your guys's. We talked about this a little bit in the pre-show, but I took your guys's plugs and just your original fire starter, and I filled a mason jar full of water, dunked them, closed the lid, flipped it over to make sure it wasn't in an air bubble, and then I just left it there for 3 days. And I took out your guys's plug at 3 days, ripped it in half, and it lit right up like I pulled it out of the bag. It absolutely insane. The original fire starter, it didn't light when it was obviously like sopping wet, but all I had to do was roll it in my hands until it was dry and like matted up, and it lit like nothing. I mean, just awesome product. I mean, so I'm from Oregon originally. I'm from the Pacific Northwest. Everything's wet all the time. If it's not wet, it's dark and cold. And I grew up lighting fires, keeping fires going with like pine needles and all this stuff. But like you said, it'll fizz up, but then it's like flash in a pan. If you don't have like a good bucket full of pine needles, you aren't really gonna get anywhere. But with that use case, just being able to have something that you don't have to worry about waterproofing, that just works, and it just works for an extended period of time, enough for you to get your stuff together and get that fire going. I mean, just awesome.
Absolutely. It's versatile too, which is what I love about it. Because like sometimes you just want to get your fire going fast. You got some hot dogs to cook up. Let's get this fire going. Other times you're looking around, you're like, I've got one match and one chance at lighting this fire. And so depending on how you use the product, like for the fire plugs, for example, we just released a YouTube video. It shows 2 different ways to use it. One of them is how to get the most efficient burn. Take a little bit off the top and light it. It burnt for about 8 minutes, was it?
I think we had one burn for 9. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So they very little,
That's insane.
about over 8 minutes from one plug. And that's even hot, consistent flame. It's not even the biggest flame, but it's even and consistent. The next one we tore in half and lit both halves at the same time. That one burnt for about 4 minutes. Nice hot. And then another one we opened up all the way, exposed as much surface area as possible, as much fluff, and get all that oxygen. It burnt for maybe a couple minutes. But it was a lot of heat. And like almost like a pine needle, but quite a bit longer than that. So it's just nice that the different situations call for different usage, and being able to have that all in one, just depending on where you're at, how you're using it.
Yeah, well, and it's small. Both of your products are super small, so it's nothing to fill up like an Altoids tin with a bunch of the Firestarter, or a bunch of plugs or whatever, or stash them around in in bags or pockets. So super cool. But so you guys grew up outdoors, run around doing as you do. But where did you guys do for work before you guys started your company?
So before we started Blackbeard, we were carpenters, so we used to build furniture, and we worked together there too. That's for sure.
What I think is interesting is and it makes total sense to me at least, but I think it's interesting your guys' reach as far as just in different circles and different groups and communities, right? So you guys are primarily like outdoor space, right? Outdoor recreation, preparedness, survival space, right? That's your product. That's mainly your clientele. If I'm not off base here, but there's a lot of people in our community. So the more preparedness, veteran LEO, tactical type preparedness community, like the quote unquote Minuteman culture, that love your stuff too, because you guys fit that bill of, okay, so if I do need to make a fire, how am I going to do it in the most efficient way possible? How can I cheat in order to to make this happen in a better way, right? Not discounting that you obviously need those hard skills, and skills trump gear and supply every time, but if I can cheat, I'm gonna cheat, so And like we were talking about in the pre-show, I see you guys pop up all the time on in our social media. So you guys are reaching and grabbing at these other communities. So I think that's really cool that you guys can kind of have that organic growth happen, and just goes to show, like you said, about just keeping at that tenacity.
Absolutely, man. It's touching a lot of customers, I feel like, because of experiences that we all experience. Most people don't realize how hard it is to sometimes start a fire until the task is actually upon them. Um, and I think this has all happened to us at least once. We're the guy who's supposed to start the backyard of the campfire. Everyone's waiting on you, and everyone's looking at you. And you're sitting there like, yeah, I went to Boy Scouts. I know what I'm doing. And it's matches. You're throwing matches at it one by one. Your light is going out. You can't get it lit. Everyone's just looking at you, waiting. You're just sweating. Everyone's going to experience it. It's just like you're desperately trying to get it to catch the ball, like you know what you're doing. And then just embarrassment sinks in. And it's been watching you.
Yeah.
So you get the feeling.
Feel personally attacked.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's like, I thought you went to Boy Scouts. I thought you were an Eagle Scout. It's like, I don't know. I'm struggling, all right?
Well, and everyone's seen the group of men around the campfire, regardless of who's making it. That's just where we gravitate.
Yeah.
And if you struggle for even a second, man, we'll eat you alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
Exactly.
God.
So that definitely helps with the reach. Just seeing a product that you can say, well, one flick of a match, one flick of a lighter, and your fire is going regardless of no matter the conditions, the wetness, the wind, anything. That's something that I feel like all men covet,
Yeah.
just to avoid that embarrassment. Because that embarrassment doesn't just last through that camping trip. It always goes back. Remember that time you couldn't get the fire started?
Horrible. Well, and makes me think. So we, training up the bear class, man, we, try to envelop a lot of spheres, right? A lot of skill sets. And, obviously one of those, being survival and fire making. I took it upon myself to, get a ferro rod and steel, and to just, knock out, learn that skill set. And it is freaking hard to just go from nothing, so having like your knife and a ferro rod, and then, just with just those two things, and then, the woods, to go out and make a fire.
Yeah.
Like, if you aren't practicing that,
Yes.
in that skill, like, it is absurdly, difficult to do. Not to mention if you have, the weather considerations, if you have, wet, soggy, cold conditions on top of all that. So I'm just thinking outside of the recreational space, outside of, I need to get this campfire going so we can, cook s'mores or hot dogs. If you were in, a situation, we always joke on the podcast about, like, that some 12-year-old in the 1800s, who could do everything that I do, but better, but like, if I were him and, I had to get this fire started, in the cold of winter, then, how much better if you can have something to, to help get you there, and, even now, if you need to get a fire going, you have no other, option. If it's a need, not a want, it's pretty nice to have that aid there, ready for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Because so like you mentioned earlier, the torture test and stuff. Like that's like honestly that's the funnest part of the job. Like freezing Blackbeard Firestarters or doing whatever crazy stuff to them and trying to make them fail. Whenever I think of torture tests, for some reason I always think of Glock pistols, right? Do you guys remember how back in like the early 2000s when YouTube was pretty young, like everyone was torture testing Glocks, trying to make them fail, put them under pools.
Running over them.
Kind of the same thing with Blackbeard. Yeah, exactly. So kind of the same thing with Blackbeard Firestarters, because if they can make it through those torture tests, they will be able. Like, those are extreme, right? That kind of stuff is kind of. I don't want to say it's a statistical anomaly, but when are you going to take a Blackbeard Firestarter out of a chunk of ice and break it apart and then try and light it? So if it'll light in that situation, it'll light in any situation.
Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're up in the mountains. Doesn't matter if you're in the desert. Doesn't even matter if you're in your backyard. It'll work no matter what.
And it's crazy too, because before you guys came along, the cheat itself was using balls soaked in Vaseline. And I don't know if you've ever had to take one of those out and do anything with them, but hauling out a bunch of soggy cotton balls mixed with Vaseline is a little awkward and weird, especially if you have to explain it to somebody. It's like, why do you have bulk Vaseline? It's like, well,
Camping trip with the
trying to
boys.
start a fire.
Yeah, always camping trip with the boys.
Right, camping trip with boys. Let's make it awkward.
Yes.
After, when you're using cotton balls and Vaseline, after you get your cotton ball fucked up to get those fibers out, you try to light it with a ferro rod, and that thing's slipping out of your hands like crazy. It just
Right.
goes flying. At least it has for me a couple times.
Yeah.
So wiping your hands off, cleaning them up, just convenience, right? Convenience. And to even add to that, not only convenience, so Texas, how many years ago, the big freeze that they had, all of a sudden,
2021.
a lot of people don't have heat. 2021, yep. All these people out of nowhere don't have heat, don't have all of these resources that they normally rely on. Everything goes dark. They're stuck with, how am I going to cook my food? How am I going to, perform these daily tasks that I do? But because of ease of life nowadays, I don't have these skills, or I don't have the product and material to help me with these skills. Just interesting to think how fast that went from being fine, living comfortably, to I'm in trouble. I don't know how I'm going to heat or cook tonight.
Seven can definitely talk about that because, I mean, he lives in Texas. He lived through
It was
that
miserable.
hell.
It was absolutely miserable. I lost power for 4 days. It was 3-degree weather outside. So when it first happened, it was like, when we knew that we were going to be in for a rough night, it was like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. We'd lost our power. And I had like 5 seconds where I just looked at my wife, and like that kind of panic kind of creeped in. And then I was like, okay, go push the couches together. I went and I, dug into it till I got our headlamps and like all of our camping stuff out. And me and my wife like pushed our couches together in the living room, and we slept on our couch. I put up my boys' tent they had. This was when I only had one boy. I threw his tent up, threw like a bunch of quilts and wool blankets and everything in there. And that was his bed. And then I got the fire going, and I kept that fire going for 4 days. Day in, day out, all through the night. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, keep it going. I took, you guys know, like the big, like bulk, I had like 50-pound bags of like the charcoal you can use for like grilling. Mm-hmm. So I had a bunch of that, and I threw those in. And I was like using that to supplement my actual wood that I had chopped to keep it going throughout the night. I had that fire going so hot for so long just to keep it warm enough in our living room that I cracked the stones in our fireplace all the way up. Like, jeez. It was dumb. And then every day I'd go out and check out my neighbors. I had an elderly neighbor who just had shoulder surgery, and another neighbor who him and his wife just came, and they moved from Northern California, and so they didn't have anything for cold. And so they were stuck in their bed every day to stay warm. Jeez. And so checking on them, making sure everybody was okay, chopping firewood, like it took up my entire day. And then going and checking on my family, and just, we went from, normal life to, ground zero, essentially. It was crazy. But, I tell my wife, thank God that was my one non-negotiable, because she found this place when we first moved here. I was in a school, so I couldn't leave. And so she was out looking at houses, and my one non-negotiable was that it had to have a fireplace where we stayed at. I was thinking, man, if we didn't have that fireplace, I don't know what we would have done, because it was literally 3 degrees outside.
Well, I mean, not only the fireplace, but you yourself, you were the tool for the neighborhood,
Yeah.
I mean, not the tool.
No, but like
you were.
Well, he is a tool.
right there, buddy.
I was say that,
but that was my job. We see that as our duty, right? That's part of our. It's part of our driving ethos, from before the company, even just since we've known each other. If you have strength, if you have knowledge, if you have anything, right, it's your job to make that available. Like that. just as men, that's what you're supposed to do. It doesn't cost you anything to look after your neighbor. You just have to do it. You just have to show up.
How blessed were your neighbors and the people that just moved from California, because you were there, you were prepared, you had the skill set, and you had the how do I say it, the moral compass to do those things.
Yeah. But I mean, tell you what, our entire cul-de-sac, like, we did a complete 180. Because that was when we were first like getting settled in with everything. But, right after that freeze, everybody had a list. It's like, no, I don't care what I have to do this year. This is not happening again. And we had people going out getting generators. We had people like, building up their backyard gardens. We have several people else included getting chickens. Like, no, we're not. That was fun the first time. No thanks. Like, this is so fragile, and we got to be able to do it ourselves. And I can't blame Texas. It's Texas. You can't really warrant having an entire fleet of snow plows and like all these extra lineman trucks and everything. It's not needed 99% of the year. So like, you can't really get mad at them not having the infrastructure if you don't want them to pay for it, right? To have it all year and not use it. So it's just crazy time. Crazy winter for sure.
I think you and your neighbors are super close now that you guys went through that together.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what adversity always does. Always does. Always brings families and neighbors close together, because at the end of it, you realize that's what you got. But I feel like that's been a big issue just with our the states, our society at large, is that we've just had it so cush for so long, so there's no need to really look after, right, your family, your neighbor. There's been no big opposing force, right, to where that's necessary, and so we're eating each other. It breaks my heart. It's sad, but
Absolutely.
yeah.
I think it goes along great with the hard times, strong men, right? You were strong before that. You knew what to do. But then those hard times also encouraged a lot of people to become stronger, to hunker down, to learn those kind of skills that you had.
Yeah.
To be the watchman, to take care and step up to that responsibility that's built within us, to provide, to take care of others, to really be the strong men that we were meant to be, that we were born to be.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Thank you. The chef's kiss, 6 over there.
Could not have said that better myself. Yeah,
and
that was perfect.
What a time to be alive. You guys are in Utah. I had never met you, ever, if not for what we have with the internet, with social media, ever, and we can find guys that share our ethos, share our values, our mission, right, and we can build these circles, these communities. And we may never see each other face to face, but we're building out that community, that circle, and that's going to impact people. Our community, like, everything's going to be intertwined, and it's just going to be exponential growth. We're here for culture change. If I could work myself out of a job, I gladly would. If I could pass off all the knowledge I have, and all the knowledge that I hope to gain, if we could raise the bar so much that we're no longer needed, I'll take it. I'd take it any day, because that's what we need. That's what my boys need. They're gonna be inheriting all this after me. I'd much rather be out of this job and have them be better off. That's the dream, man.
Just thinking, because there's a lot going on in the world right now. There's news left and right about more hard times coming. This is out of stock, that's out of stock. There's wars, whatnot. And as we've been thinking about our business, how are we going to do to prepare this? How are we going to do to, what are we going to do to prepare our families? What we keep on coming back to is, don't worry about anything else that's happening. Focus on you, yourself, your family, your relationship with God. And as long as you're taking care of those things, everything else is going to work out.
Yeah.
Everything, no matter what comes down. You build that community like you were talking about. You get those people around you. You get your family around you. You take care of that. That will make a better world, a better state, a better everything faster than worrying and watching the news and sitting there wondering, what am I going to do this week? What you're going to do is take care of your kids, take care of your wife, take care of these things that
Exactly.
actually affect you instead of focusing on the things that don't affect you.
100%. 100%.
Plus, if you're worrying about all these things that are going on in the rest of the world, how much is that actually going to affect you? Like, what's going on in Ukraine right now? Is that going to affect me in my daily life? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Is it going to matter when the government's spending billions of dollars on them? How is that going to affect my local life? Oh, yeah, that's going to matter. Like that.
On a different note as well, like you said, if you focus on your family, focus on your community, right? So imagine if your family, your local community, right? Your tight knit community. Imagine if you guys didn't have to worry about your food because you grew and raised and harvested your own food. Imagine if you didn't have to worry about your water because you all had a well drilled. If you had a year-round creek, if you collected rainwater, on and on, right? Food, water, if you had, off-grid electricity, if you had, this community that was built out and you got these skill sets like carpentry, like engineering, like, medical care, all this stuff, the more you chip away at that dependence, right, on these bigger organizations, these bigger names, these bigger agencies, just the, let's go ahead and say the government in general, the more you chip away at that dependence, the more independent that you become, self-sufficient that you become, the less it matters to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What do I care if, such and such, says this about my tax service, says, I'm going to shut your, power off if I'm not connected to their power, or, what I care if they've, polluted their water to hell if I collect my own, or, all this different stuff. We need to be taking care of each other.
Absolutely. And the links should be there. Over I feel like a long time, the links being there, meaning we should already be connected with our communities, but we're not because there is that outer force driving us apart.
Yeah.
The real strength and power comes from us bonding together. When we get broken down, it's because there are higher powers trying to pull us apart, trying to get us to fight with our neighbors, trying to not talk about the important things to us, trying to keep us inside our homes so we can't build these communities, build these networks so that we can rely on each other instead of relying on a very large middleman.
When you boil it down, what is, you can throw this litmus test in here if you wonder what these greater powers, these powers that be, wonder why they make a decision. Does this draw your community closer together, or does it draw a wedge between you and someone else? Hell, anything on the news this day and age, what does it do? And that'll tell you where the motivation is. If you go out and you actually interact with people, man to man, person to person, face to face.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you do that too, I think when you ignore everything that's going on TV, internet, whatever, and you actually interact with your neighbor, whoever, you realize that you have a lot more in common than how do I say this? You have a lot more in common than you don't.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
So once you put away those outside influences, i.e., news, internet, social media, whatever, you realize, okay, like life is really not like that. Even though they're pushing that, it's really not like that. And I actually have a ton in common with my neighbor, who I thought I shared no common beliefs or anything like that with.
Yeah.
So, and me personally, I think that's the way life was intended for us. Is to get to know each other and. Yeah, we might disagree on some things, but overall, as a whole, we're all trying to do the same things, right? We're all trying to live our lives, take care of our families, that's what it boils down to. So,
yeah. Well, it goes back to taking care of each other, right? When you think about that, in that context, when you boil all the rest of it down, I don't care what political ideology you subscribe to, right? It shouldn't matter to me, whether you believe in my God or not, right? But you want to stay safe. You want your family to be safe and taken care of, right? I want the same for mine. Why can't we focus on that?
Yeah.
You know, being people again, being neighbors again, you know, and it sucks because it comes from so many sides, man. So many things that you wouldn't even think of, right? So think about just like e-commerce, right? Instead of going out and, you know, if I'm like out of sugar or out of bread or whatever, instead of going to my neighbors like, you know, hey neighbor, can I have some sugar? You know, I'm trying to bake this thing. You know, I could, you know, no, we you know, order online, or we have it, you know, delivered curbside, or, you know, whatever. Instead of asking, we've been force fed this ideology of, I'd say, just hyper independence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be able to do this on your own, right? Because no one else is going to look out for you. You can't trust anybody else. You can't rely on anybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's you against the world.
My wife has forced me to watch enough true crime that I know that if I'm going to my neighbor's house to ask for a cup of sugar, that's how I wander onto a murder scene. Like, come on now.
You're being part of the problem right now. Also, you should be carrying a gun. You're an American. So if you get killed by a serial killer, that's on you. And you guys, I'm sorry, like, I guess I assumed, but we never really went into it. You guys, like, actually make and, like, develop everything, like, in-house? Like, you don't have, like, people put this all together for you, then ship it out? Like, you guys do this with, like, all your ropes?
So it's all us, just because we are super picky about quality control. It has to be us. If we're not doing it, then it's not getting done.
So every rope, every plug,
yes, sir,
had your guys' hands on it.
Yes,
that's
sir.
so freaking cool.
I love it.
And
I love it.
the same goes for shipping. There's been a lot of companies that have approached it, like fulfillment companies, shipping fulfillment. We won't do it. We won't do it just because we really pride ourselves. If a customer orders today, we try our best to get their order out today or tomorrow.
Wow, that's awesome.
Now, yeah, the fulfillment companies, I mean, I guess they promise the same thing, and they're good at what they do. You know, the reason why they have a business. But we cannot give our baby to someone, give our customers who we like really strive to take care of to someone else and expect them to do it. It's got to be done by us.
Awesome.
So,
awesome.
I get it. I respect it. I love it. Even as a small business owner, I love it because I am super picky about my own. Any product I've ever made in the past, I'm super picky about because if it's going out, it's got my name on it and it's my reputation on the line. So I love that you guys do that.
Do you guys have any other products planned? Do you guys have anything that you have in development that you can talk about?
Oh man, we're constantly experimenting and tinkering with new ideas. But we don't want to give away too much away just yet. What we can say is we're always looking for ways to make fire starting even easier, faster, and more reliable. We will have some coming out in the near future. Also, for fun items. Anything to start a fire is fun to me. But what we do want to tease for you guys is the giveaway that we've got coming up.
So we would love to run a giveaway with you guys if you guys are open to it.
Oh yeah,
for your guys' followers. I know you guys have a super loyal and strong following.
Yeah.
So we'd love to run that if you guys are up for it.
I love that too. You know, like you said, our audiences, you know, our communities, you know, do merge a lot, and I feel like what you guys, you know, obviously what you guys offer is, you know, very useful. I feel like it meets that niche that people need. It fills a role for sure, both for, you know, recreational and for, you know, for work or preparedness use.
Yep.
But no, we'd love to figure something out with that. Just kind of solidifying that, you know, that merger of those communities. So real quick before we end, you guys are Blackbeard Firestarter. Could you go over just a quick rundown what all you guys are? Because, you know, we know about the plugs, we know about the rope. Do you guys offer anything else that you guys are excited about to give people to, you know, help increase that help increase people's effectiveness in that space. And then do you want to just give out where we can find you guys?
We also have ignition sources, and these are my favorite. We've got first up that I like is the arc lighter. Uses electricity, charges just via USB at 300 lights per charge. Super convenient, paired it with a solar panel.
Awesome.
The second ignition source is up there 5.5 inches long.
Goodness. Okay.
Damn.
It's too much fun throwing those sparks everywhere. And the third first matches.
Mm.
Once you light these things, it's not going out. You can't blow it out. You can't. You can light all of your grandma's candles on her birthday cake with one match.
Goodness.
Using 5 matches for her birthday cake.
I love it.
It goes hard. And so everything that we make is just made to last, made to work in any condition. We also organize our case, and we've got a bunch of kits all together. Situation. Some people like the plugs, we've got a plug kit. Some people like the rope, we've got a rope kit.
Awesome. All those made by you.
So some of the stuff we have to import because we can't get the parts, unfortunately.
So with the ferro rods in particular, ferrocium is not mined in the United States at all.
Really?
So
The metals to make,
the metal itself is not mined here at all. So if you ever see, so for you guys in your followers, if you ever see anybody saying like, oh, this ferrocium rod is USA made, no, not really, because it's not mined here. So what they're saying is they took a ferro rod that they imported from overseas, either Europe or Asia, and what they did is they put a handle on it, and that's what they mean when they say it was made here in America.
Right.
But just for the reason that, for whatever reason, it's just not mined here. That's the second part too. Is we do not make our arc lighters in house, and I mean, you can thank the politicians for that one. So it's getting very, very hard to manufacture anything in America now.
Yeah.
So keep the plugs and the ropes. We do those all 100% ourselves, and on top of that, we use those 100% American ingredients too for those.
Awesome.
So
that's great.
Yeah. Just keep it everything on itself. Then we offer them in different types of kits. What you want to use, what your situation is. You can find us on blackbeardfire.com. That's where you'll get the best discounts, the best pricing. You can also find us on Amazon and then hundreds of retailers nationwide.
Cool. I was gonna say before we end out, I had one of your guys' arc lighters, and then my wife stole it. So.
Got to send you another.
You have a fan. And she likes it because we have 2 small boys. She doesn't have to worry about fuel. She doesn't have to worry about anything crazy. Like you said, it's used to be rechargeable. It's safe, and it's just something that she can have with her and not have to think about it. So yeah, very cool. Well, KJ, Mahi, Blackbeard Firestarter, we appreciate you guys. We really thank you for coming on and for sharing your story.
Heck yes.
And we talked on the phone before we had you guys on, and like I said back then, we're just trying to build out this this circle, this community of guys that share our values and our mission, and people that we can trust. And so we just really appreciate what you guys stand for and what you're doing. You're going about your business, doing everything that you do with integrity, and just trying to bring back that that value, that just that pride in your work. And I think that really push out into everything that you guys do. So really excited to hopefully be working with you in the future and where you guys are going.
100%. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, man. Yeah, super excited to finally get to work with you guys. I told you, Seven, when I first talked with you on the phone, like ever since we found you guys' page on Instagram, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out ways to work with you guys, because I appreciate what you guys are doing. I like what you guys are doing, and we want to be a part of it, man. So thank you for having us on to your podcast. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. It's a great time, man.
Heck yeah, man.
Well, we are the Hard Time Strong Men, joined by Blackbeard Firestarter, training up a better class of man. As always, stay in the fight.